Hormel Foods is going to buy Applegate Farms for $775 million.
Applegate doesn't use GMO ingredients and feeds its animals a vegetarian diet.
The trends are obviously gluten, organic, natural, and protein.
Yeah,
this is a really big deal.
Finally, an old-fashioned, successful food company decides to get with the program in a huge and meaningful way. Last night, Hormel Foods, which you probably know as a maker of Spam, canned chili, Jennie-O turkey, embraced the natural and organic zeitgeist with its agreement to buy Applegate Farms, the #1 natural and organic prepared meats company, for $775 million. That's right, the company that brought you Spam's going organic, as Hormel tries to get into new retail outlets and reach a new group of customers that are too big to ignore. Of course, it's important to point out that unlike many other packaged food players, Hormel's actually been doing quite well on its own. And it's also made smaller inroads to more natural fare like organic muscle milk and holy guacamole. Company also reported a really terrific quarter. And with last night's news about Applegate Farms, the stock's roared ahead to right around its all-time highs. So let's take a closer look with Jeffrey Ettinger. He's the chairman and CEO of Hormel Foods. Find out more about this deal and the company's future. Mr. Ettinger, welcome to Mad Money. Good to see you, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a seat. All right, I thought this was a monumental shot across the bow. It basically just said, look, this audience, this group of stores that sells it, too big to ignore, even for a company that we know produces Spam. But this is the shot. This is the beginning, isn't it?
It's an exciting category for us to become involved with. The natural and organic consumer growth has been really phenomenal. It's not a fad. We really view it as a movement. And to be able to partner with the leading brand in the space in terms of the meat-based items, Applegate, is really fantastic for us.
And it's creative. I mean, it's not like you're spending so much to be able to get in some business and not make money.
No, we think it'll be a reasonable investment for our shareholders. The growth trajectories combined with the margins support the purchase price, but it really is an exciting growth area in the store.
All right, I've known Steve McDonald as the founder for many, many years, he and his wife Jill. And I know that he put out a statement today saying, here's the big question, can you still trust us? Will Applegate still support GMO labeling, antibiotic-free animal agriculture, humane treatment? The answer is yes. And on the call, you said Steve's sticking with it.
Absolutely. So Steve will be involved in an advisory capacity with the company, and clearly we were with the team there today in Bridgewater, and we made the promise to them that we intend to honor this brand and make sure the consumers have the same experience that they've always enjoyed with Applegate.
Now, the growth of this business is actually quite extraordinary, isn't it? It's because there are outlets you mentioned that you haven't necessarily been able to be in that you're now going to be in. What are we talking about in terms of the consumer and where you'll see Applegate?
Sure. So Applegate sales are in the $350 million range, and about half of those sales are in the natural and organic specialty channel, and Hormel has next to no presence there. You did mention a couple of our items, organic muscle milk and organic holy guacamole, but this is new territory for us, and clearly a lot of consumers are gravitating toward this area, so we're excited to be there.
Now, Chipotle has been in this, obviously, for a long time, and one of the things that Chipotle tells me is, look, it's hard to source. You yourself talk about hard to source organic pork. Are there is it going to be too much? Let's say you blow this out in the way I know Hormel can do. Are there enough farmers?
Stephen and his team have done a great job over a number of years at growing at a high teens, 20% clip. We're confident we're going to be able to maintain a double-digit growth rate even at its higher scale that's going on right now. You did mention the one area that's been a little more challenging on the pork side, but the other proteins really have very sufficient supply.
Now, this has been a challenging time that you can't really tell from your results. Avian flu. I mean, you've got a fantastic turkey business. Is it okay?
Jennie-O Turkey Store is a wonderful brand. It's still connecting well with consumers. So even last quarter, when we were having a number of these outbreaks, we had really outstanding sales of the brand in the marketplace. The team is certainly scrambling and working closely with government officials to try to maintain their operations during the outbreak, and it has slowed down a little bit, but I'm sure we're up to the challenge.
Do you think that the country, this kind of move actually told me that the farmers have to get with the program, that maybe they themselves, even though it costs a lot of money and very difficult to convert from non-organic to organic, this is the way of the future, isn't it, sir?
I think the sustainable economic story with this that Applegate has embraced and even companies like Chipotle have embraced is if the consumer values these types of attributes and therefore is willing to pay the price because there is an added cost to some of these elements, both of these brands have proved that to be true. In terms of mainstream products, if you're going to add cost to the farmer, it's going to be important that the consumer bear those costs, or we may have to have supplies that offer choices to consumers, traditional products that are maintained a certain way, and then the products such as Applegate's that have certain standards as well.
But the Chipotle people have argued with me that if the farmers saw that the demand, and they switched, say, from not growing ethanol, or they use the land in a wise way, that perhaps the price would come down because it's the demand that's the issue.
Well, I mean, I think there can be a combination of that over time as more and more people get into this area. And we certainly hope to learn from the Applegate team. They've had many years of experience working with over 1,500 family farms and how to utilize these practices. And we're hoping the two teams together can find new ways to tap into that.
I notice you're keeping it as a standalone division. Is part of that because that you feel that people might not want Applegate if they're associated with Hormel and Spam?
Really, it's kind of both sides of the equation. On the brand side, we think that team knows their consumer and has created items that appeal to that consumer, and we want to make sure we maintain that connection. And then on the supply chain side, it's a very unique supply chain, kind of a virtual company. They don't own their own plants, but they contract with both processors and many farms, and we want to preserve that as well.
Do you think there's something changing in the country, sir, where we have brands that people trust, and they may not be the old brands? Now, for instance, Spam, I trusted it because my father was in World War II. Okay, some people think Spam won the war. My kids, they trust this brand. This is a brand to them. The brands that are in my pantry, they don't understand why I eat them.
I think there's place for both brands. I mean, Spam this last quarter grew over a 10% clip, and part of it is, I mean, Spam has become a fusion food. There are various Asian cuisines that utilize Spam on a great basis. We have flavors such as tocino and teriyaki, and so there's a place for Spam in the choice spectrum for consumers, and obviously we're very excited about the place that Applegate's going to hold as well.
Do you think that other companies in your industry either have to adapt or die?
Well, we're a very growth-oriented organization. This brand, Muscle Milk, Skippy, Holy Guacamole have been all great additions to our core portfolio, but we continue to grow a number of our core items as well. A great quarter last quarter with Hormel pepperoni, our party trays, our bacon bits, and those types of items. And
I think it would be unfair, it'd be remiss not to say that you're also one of the great dividend payers.
We are 49 consecutive years of increase. The last year, the increase was 25%. We continue to generate excellent cash flows, and we'll be providing further increases, I'm sure, to our shareholders.
You're the only real processed food company that I think has the forward look with the great organic growth. You've always had it, and now you're organic and natural. I think it's the one that people should own. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, tell Steve I said hi. I mean, it's just fantastic. I remember when he started his den, making some phone calls to farmers to try to get them to switch.
That's a tremendous story.
All right, that's Jeff Ettinger. He's the chairman and CEO of Hormel Foods. Good job.
Yeah,
thank you. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.